Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. It's a fun little way to start my Saturday morning. I watched the awesome ensemble of Table for Three on the WWE Network, which was honestly my first sight of seeing these three together is when WWE was tweeting about the show was going to be on. I believe Table for Three is on Wednesdays after NXT. I'm not 100% sure of what time or what day it is on. WWE Network doesn't really do a great job of promoting the fact of when these shows are going to be actually shown live. I don't know a lot of people that really stick to the live stream. I think a lot of people just pick and choose what they want to watch from the on-demand. And that's one of the greatest things about the WWE Network is that there's so many things that are up there for you. But to me, honestly, I want to know when a new show is put up. And if it wasn't for their Twitter account, I don't really know when, some shows are added. But when they were tweeting that they were going to have Miz, R-Truth, and Curtis Axel together, I sort of said that this was going to honestly be a show that you could skip. It was my buddy Pinko, HBK fan 25 last night, who told me that yesterday he watched this and he laughed the whole time. He thought this was very funny, a very good show. And so I went out of my way today to make sure that this was the first show that I watched this morning. I thought this was a great show. You got Miz, you got R-Truth, Curtis Axel, three guys really in WWE right now that really have nothing really going for them. But you can tell that they honestly really love what they're doing. A big topic of the conversation is what they're going to be doing next with their careers, what they're going to be doing, once wrestling is done. They're trying to get to the point of having an exit game and making sure they're going to do that. They took some shots at R-Truth for how old he was. At one point, Curtis Axel broke out some pictures that he got from Scott Armstrong, and he gave them to R-Truth by the color of the ropes, with them being yellow. This is either for an independent show, or for my first thoughts is that this was from an early TNA wrestling show. And R-Truth talked about how much Mr. Perfect saw a great worker in R-Truth and really worked to help get him going and help making sure that he knew what it take to become a good superstar. They talked about, R-Truth's road, into wrestling, where basically he came in the late 90s with a rapper gimmick, Get Rowdy, K-Quick, where he would tag with Road Dogg. And, immediately when he came into the WWE, he's known as Road Dogg's guy. And he sort of clicked with everybody. One thing leads to another. I think it was Road Dogg getting fired for some, outside of wrestling things. And then R-Truth, quickly left after that. They didn't think that he was going to be able to get over without it. He ended up going to TNA. He would become TNA, NWA, World Heavyweight Champion. He'd be involved in a lot of good feuds over there. He'd run the whole course of everything, and then I guess it was around like 2009 he came back to WWE, and he's found a way to stick around ever since. He's talking about how bizarre it was that he had little Jimmy, Miz, and R-Truth to bring up the fact that they sold out Madison Square Garden. And I can't tell that, honestly, if this is something that they're proud of, or if this is something that they sort of poke fun at each other. They know that they were just two guys that were put in there against Cena and against The Rock, but that's what they were built up for, and they got put together. They tell stories about when Miz found out that he was going to be teaming with R-Truth. He listened to the R-Truth rap in his car as he got ready to go to a show, and then he pitched a new rap for R-Truth, basically trying to, help out the group as much as he could and get it over. And basically, Miz did this whole rundown of a rap for R-Truth, and R-Truth just looked at him and it was, that was good, man. That was really, really good. And then, Cena, who was in the locker room and he was getting ready behind him, just yelled out, "Truth, tell him the truth." And Truth had to tell him that was garbage. But they were able to find out, if you remember Awesome Truth, how great Miz was, is that, Miz came out there as the white guy, hanging out with the rapper, and, he would just, sort of dance just offbeat, to the, R-Truth, theme, and, he was that guy who just didn't belong. And, I thought it was really funny. He became one of those guys that you just wanted to see get punched in the face. Miz was a guy that I've always liked. I mean, WrestleMania 27, I was chanting for the Miz to get the win. And when he did, I thought that was really cool. And then, he would only keep the belt a little bit longer. I think at Elimination Chamber, it was Miz, Morrison, and Cena in the cage match. I think that's where Cena ended up winning the belt, and it just was over from there. And I keep cheering for him. I keep thinking that maybe something's going to get him over the hump. He's been doing a lot of outside of WWE things where he's making movies now. He's got the movie coming out this Christmas with him and Paige. And, R-Truth, he does music. Curtis Axel at times was just sort of there to add to the conversation. They didn't really talk about him. They talked about his home life, where now he has 3 boys. I liked how at one time they're talking about Haas, and they're calling him Double H for Haas Henning. And, Axel is saying that there's a very good chance that there's going to be a 3rd generation, or no, this would be a 4th generation wrestler, I apologize, in WWE because of the odds with him having 3 boys and them already being into wrestling and football, and just growing up with the lifestyle. I thought it was interesting the fact that R-Truth and Axel both said that, they don't really have... They don't really put themselves over as the wrestler. They're just dad when they get there. And basically, that's the way that Henning grew up, with Mr. Perfect in the crowd of his football games. The people put it together, and their friends on the football team would come to him and say, "Mr. Perfect's your dad?" And they would just, yeah, I mean... It was no big deal to them. They thought it was nothing. There was one more story to wrap this up that was really, really funny. Miz... basically saying that his dad gave him a program. I believe it was from one of the WrestleManias in Atlantic City, so that would be either WrestleMania 4 or WrestleMania 5. And, when he got home, the whole book was autographed by the entire roster. And Miz thought it was so cool that, he had this, he took it to school for show and tell, he would show all of his friends. And after about 10 years of losing this book, one day he found it. And then he opened the book and he started looking through it, and then he noticed that all of the autographs were sort of done in the same, handwriting, and then he just sort of, turned the page, and there it is, and there it is, and he finally put it together that he came downstairs, and his dad had fooled him by signing the book himself, and, he felt like such a fool because he had told everyone that he had got this book signed, and, everybody knew except for him, but nobody would tell him. I honestly was really surprised by this. This was a very fun show. There was lots of laughs by these guys. They made fun of themselves. They made fun of each other. I thought this was a great show. Table for 3 is one of the great watches on the WWE Network. They leave you at 30 minutes with no commercials, thinking that, you wish that there would be more. You wish you could get 45. You wish you could get an hour. Very, very fun. I mean, it's not like a podcast where there's a host. It's just 3 guys sitting down and just sharing their thoughts about wrestling, sharing their thoughts about, being on the road, sharing their thoughts about family. The topic of conversation honestly could go anywhere. And with this combination of people, with Truth, Miz, and Axel, it's going to show you that this is honestly going to work with almost just about anybody on the WWE roster. They did it with the 3 girls, Ivory, Medusa, and Molly Holly. I believe that was one of the first episodes. It was like episode 3 or episode 4. No real, news came out of it, but it was a fun watch to check it out and at least, watch one time. But I don't know how many episodes we're in for Table for 3, but honestly, if you haven't started watching these, they're over like that. I mean, you just start watching and the next thing you know, you're done. So I honestly tell you, go to WWE Network, check these out, and I think you'll enjoy your day. Peace out, everybody.